Hello everyone and welcome back to another Tanzerr speed build video. I hope you guys are having a great day so far. So today we're going to be building another modern family home within The Sims 4, especially since it's been quite a common build sort of style and design recently on the channel. But today we're going to be building it within San Sequoia, which is the world that came with Growing Together, which is pretty much an expansion pack focused on family. So I feel like it kind of makes sense to just like start and create it within this world in particular. And I'm super excited to show this build to you guys, mainly because I just feel like it feels a little bit more unique to the builds that I've been creating recently. You'll get what I mean as we progress throughout this entire build, but I just really love the overall outcome of this build. I feel like it kind of like inherits the same design and style that I genuinely tend to like carry across the rest of my builds, but I just feel like this one looks a little bit more unique on the interior as well as the exterior, and you'll pretty much see that come alive as we progress with the build. But right now we're just trying to focus on creating a nice generic shape for this family home, and I tried to come up with something that looked quite interesting, and I really wanted to have the main structure of the home to be centered right in the center of the lot, and I feel like it kind of was a cool feature and was kind of unique to this build because it kind of meant that we have pretty much an even amount of space to work with. Sometimes having a home that is like right at the front of the lot might not feel realistic, but I feel like this one has like a very nice mixture of the two. And I was actually inspired by a real life image that I had come across which had this very nice modern family home design, and I wanted to recreate something like that within The Sims without actually making like a direct copy of it. And I just really loved the idea of having pretty much the entire home within the center of the lot and like having this driveway that leads you straight into the home. And I feel like it was kind of like a nice unique feature, especially with having the additional rooms around the homes that aren't really connected to the main compartment of the home, and that will kind of make a lot more sense as we progress later on with the video. And I was able to use those two rooms in unique ways to make both of them individually functional and very purposeful within a family home and build like this. But right now we're just trying to get a general shaping and layout of this home and structure. So as you guys can pretty much already see, we are actually working with a 50 by 40 lot, so we do have quite a lot of space to work with. So we actually have quite a unique shape and layout of this home in particular. It's relatively skinny, but we do actually have quite a lot of room and a lot of spaces that feel super spacious overall in the interior. And this home is actually quite a bit too far off from the front of the lot, and we do actually end up pushing it back towards the front later in the video because I felt like it just felt a little bit too far away. Even though that was kind of like the main goal, it just felt a little bit too much, but we do actually end up changing that as we progress throughout the build. But yeah, I was super happy with how the current structure of the home looked. I feel like I had quite a lot of compartments poking out from the main component of the home, and I feel like it looked super interesting overall. I was quite puzzled with what I wanted to do with the backyard area of the build because I wasn't really happy with the current structure of it. I just feel like it felt a little bit too generic for my liking, especially with how complex and detailed the front of the home looked. I wanted to incorporate certain aspects of that to the back garden, and I feel like I was able to do that. And you can pretty much get a small gist of what the interior looks like as I'm getting rid of some of these small little rooms here and there, because the main reason why I do that was because I was trying to ensure that I had enough space to work with for the interior, because I can make the exterior look as nice as possible, but if I don't really have a lot of interior sort of space, I don't know what I would really be doing with that, you know. So I had to make sure that I had enough space to like make sizable rooms that made sense, rather than having small ones or like two big ones that wouldn't really be functional, if that makes sense. But throughout like this entire home, I definitely feel like it feels the most compact and the most coziest, especially since everything is pretty much really close together. And I feel like that in itself just makes a home like this feel a little bit more family oriented. If we get into a structure for the exterior that I am kind of happy with, we do have elements of having like single story as well as like double story, and I just feel like we have quite a lot of space on both floors, which makes this home feel super spacious but also luxurious overall. And I did actually end up going for a very short platform for the backyard area of the home as well as for the interior. So the interior is on a single story platform, but you won't have any like height variations and stuff like that within the interior. It's pretty much all focused on the exterior just to like elevate the entire home overall. Even though we do actually end up adding a foundation later on in the build, the main goal wasn't really to like have it on a foundation because I didn't want to have too much elevation going on. I really wanted to have the platforming for the backyard area just to like make it feel a little bit more interesting, especially because although we don't really have like the biggest backyard area. We still had quite a lot of space, and I wanted to make it look as interesting as possible. And I feel like by adding platforming, it really does make a home feel a little bit more interesting. But yeah, I also ended up going for just like using a bunch of different terrain paint and a lot of floor tiling throughout the exterior of the home, because I wanted to have a lot of pathways that were very obvious and interactable with, because I wanted this home to feel like an indoor-outdoor experience regardless of whether you're at the front of the home or the back of the home. And in certain areas of the home, I did actually end up going for terrain paint rather than actually using floor tiling, because it just was able to give me that more versatility. So as you guys can see right now, just able to create those small curves here and there, just like being able to create these small details that you can't really do with the actual floor tiling definitely gave me the opportunity to become a bit more creative. And the initial design that we have right now is a bit it's not really something that I would tend to go for, like having that small little circle right next to like this other compartment. There was just like quite a few compartments, and I feel like it wouldn't really be that necessary for a Sims 4 build like this. So I'd actually end up getting rid of this original design. This one kind of stemmed from the main inspiration image that I was going off of, and I wasn't really happy with how it looked, so I ended up changing it to my own liking, which I feel like turned out a lot nicer overall. But even though I was trying to save it, it wasn't really working out, to be honest. And I did actually end up going for the stone flooring, like slabs and tiles, which I believe came from the Desert Luxe kit. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it is from that kit itself, which actually was free a few years ago. I know it's been quite a while now, but a lot of people do actually have that one, so I don't really mind using that one too often. And I did end up surrounding certain perimeters of the entire home with this nice dirt texture, because I really wanted to get that really realistic feel to this build. And you'll see I do actually layer and highlight certain parts of the home with a few small or like white rock pebble textures as well from the terrain paint, because I really love making the house just like light up a little bit more, just like making it have that small extra bit of detail. It really does help liven the build up a lot more, especially since a real life home wouldn't be like completely flat to the ground with grass and just like have a really sharp contrast from the wall to the ground, if that makes sense. So having like a bit of dirt in here and there just like makes it feel and adds to the realism. And of course, especially since I don't really like having all of my like homes completely flat on the ground, so I did actually end up elevating this home just like with a bit of foundation to it, just by like one tile I believe. But like I feel like it just like helped elevate this build just a tad bit more, just like trying to make it feel as lively and realistic as possible. And yeah, so we have a lot of bright and open grassy space at the front of the home. And if you guys wish to, you guys can obviously change it up and like add some functional sport equipment such as the basketball equipment and stuff like that. Or you guys can obviously host events and parties and stuff like that. But I feel like it can also be very suitable for a family home who hosts like Christmas or like Halloween and stuff like that for decorations. I feel like it gives you a lot of opportunities. However, I just wanted to just like create something that resembled a generic family home, and I feel like this definitely was able to resemble that. And as you guys can already see, for the main exterior of the home, we actually use some unique textures and styles. So for certain compartments that poke out from the main areas of the home, I actually went with this stone pebble texture for the walls, and I actually really love how that looked. I just love the design of like having stuff that look really unique from the rest of the home. And of course, the main exterior wallpaper is kind of like this nice white concrete texture, but we do actually have some certain elements here and there that I feel like make this home stand out a lot more as well. As you guys can see, we have some nice wooden paneling as well. We also have like the wooden lined wallpaper texture as well, which I actually really love the detail of that as well, which came with the businesses and hobbies expansion pack, in case you guys are wondering. And as you guys can already see, currently we're going for some common window picks that I tend to pick as I'm creating these modern builds, such as the Greenhouse Haven kit glass windows. I just really love the frames that come with that kit in particular. I know quite a lot of people probably wouldn't have it, so I do apologize for using it here and there within most of my builds, but I just really love the overall look and design that it gives, because it's kind of like the main thing that I try to go for. But the main doors and windows do actually come from businesses and hobbies, as well as the base game update. So these very nice huge sliding glass doors are from the base game update, which I just really love and I pretty much overuse quite a lot. And in certain areas where I actually ended up using the Greenhouse Haven kit windows, I just feel like I used it a little bit too much on the backyard area of the home, and I ended up changing it to the floor to ceiling glass windows, which came in one of the recent base game updates. And I just really love the overall look and design of them, because it just gave this home a very unique look. And I actually ended up using that glass floor to ceiling wall all the way up until the roof So it kind of just like gave this really tall, unique design that I was trying to go for, and I actually really love the overall effect that it gave for this home, especially since it's kind of focused on the backyard and the side of the home. I feel like it kind of makes it feel a little bit more privatized in a way, especially since we're kind of surrounded by a bunch of different trees and stuff like that. In terms of realism, I feel like it kind of makes sense in that way. And of course, I still did end up going for the greenhouse haven kit glass windows, but of course, like, I just feel like having a few little statement pieces here and there definitely make this build stand out quite a lot more, especially since I did find the backyard of the home feel a little bit more generic. So just by like making these nice unique features definitely did help, just like trying to inspire it and make it look a little bit more interesting. And yeah, I'm just like trying to add some windows here and there. I did actually notice I added quite a lot on this section of the home, but we do actually end up getting rid of those as well. And I did actually end up using quite a lot of this businesses and hobbies small rectangular little windows here and there, especially since we have quite a lot of different height variations throughout this entire build, like the first floor, second floor variations, especially when we have these tall gabled roofs as well. I just feel like the second floor doesn't really get the best opportunity when it comes to placing a lot of like windows and stuff like that. So you might actually notice throughout this entire build that certain areas of the home definitely does house a lot more of those smaller windows rather than like those floor to ceiling ones or like any sort of like framed ones, because we don't really have a lot of space to add a lot of them, if that makes sense. So I did actually end up having to use that quite a lot throughout this entire build. And I did of course also incorporate some nice little skylights here and there throughout this entire build as well. I didn't really overdo it as I tend to do within my other family builds, but I just feel like incorporating a few here and there definitely did help within this build in particular, especially in the standalone rooms where we have the gym and stuff like that as well, because I really love the overall look and design that it gives on these really generic roofs. But yeah, so I also ended up extending this very long pathway towards the back end area of the home. And as I mentioned earlier, I really wanted to have a bunch of different walkways and accessibility throughout this entire home. It just makes it feel a little bit more complete, to be honest. And we do actually end up rounding off one part of the front area of the home as well, just like to make it feel a little bit more realistic as well. And the main foliage that I ended up going throughout this entire build kind of resembled this tropical like vibe that I was trying to go for, mainly because I just really love that foliage that we have within The Sims 4. You would actually see quite a lot of cypress trees scattered around this entire build as well, because I feel like they're one of my favorite trees when it comes to The Sims 4 as well. I just feel like they feel the most realistic, especially these like very sharp aloe vera looking plants as well. I really love the design that it gives off for these modern builds. I just feel like it looks very luxurious. And then I just placed some rocks around like the empty gaps as well, along with like these nice simple palm leaves trees as well. I just feel like they look very suitable and versatile. And I also just placed these rocks between these aloe vera looking plants, and I just really love the overall look that it kind of gave. And then I pretty much placed some nice pebble texture around the perimeter of the actual foliage sections of the home, and I just feel like it kind of brightened it up, feel a little bit more compartmentalized. And for the backyard area of the home, I ended up going for the half walls instead of incorporating generic fencing, mainly because I just feel like it felt a little bit more minimalistic and worked with the type of style that I was trying to go for. And of course, just like try to connect the rest of the pathways up with stairs and stuff like that, especially since we do have the foundation as well as the platform on top of it. So it is quite a tall elevation when it comes to actually going on top of the platform itself. And we do also have a raised section in this backyard area of the home where I wanted to house some nice little modern furniture pieces as well. So I just added these two sun lounges which came from the Desert Luxe kit in like this nice simple black and white swatch. And I also added this very nice wicker armchair along with like this very simple fireplace table as well, and a nice simple umbrella which came from the Businesses and Hobbies expansion pack, because I just really loved the overall design that it gave. It just felt super modern and luxurious, and it definitely felt appropriate within this build in particular, especially since we're trying to go for that more minimalistic and contemporary design. And I also wanted to house a nice simple outdoor cooking barbecue space as well, so just like a nice simple outdoor kitchen area. Definitely made it feel a little bit more cozier, and like you can have like some nice simple outdoor gatherings and stuff like that. And yeah, just added some of my favorite objects, pieces and stuff like that as well. And I felt like this small little corner of this backyard area felt appropriate in incorporating an outdoor kitchen area. And I just really loved the overall vibe that I went for, especially since it felt super cozy with the natural wood tones that I went with for the cabinets itself, as well as the marble countertop for the counters themselves. Definitely made it feel luxurious but also cozy at the same time, which I feel like kind of makes sense for a family home like this. And of course, I added some small little details here and there next to the barbecue area itself, just like trying to make it feel like a realistic outdoor kitchen. And I also ended up incorporating these very tall sort of like seaters, which came from the Dream Home Decorator game pack, which is actually quite a popular game pack that I have used throughout this entire build. And I really love that long lounge chair sort of sofa where I can place like 2 on either side and make this very long sort of like sun lounge bed type of situation. And I really love placing that throughout certain areas of my modern build. I just feel like it feels super luxurious, and I really love how I was able to fit that super compact dining table right next to where we have the outdoor barbecue area. Just made it feel super cozy in my opinion. And of course added some nice simple seating area around the garden area itself, of course utilizing some of my favorite garden furniture pieces such as the wicker set. And that is pretty much the only one that I feel like is quite suitable for a build like this, especially since I'm trying to go for that more modern look and feel. I feel like it didn't really make sense to just like incorporate other objects into it, especially since we don't really have a lot of outdoor furniture pieces. And I tried to add some small little features here and there throughout this entire build to make it feel as realistic as possible, such as adding these rain gutter pipes, along with adding a bunch of different outdoor lighting fixtures as well, just like trying to make it feel as realistic as possible. And yeah, so we're actually moving on into the interior. This is where we pretty much have that very tall floor to ceiling glass windows, and I really love just incorporating the kitchen area here as well. And you might have noticed that I immediately went into utilizing the Home Chef Hustle kitchen furniture piece set, and the main reason for that was because I initially already had this design in mind, and unfortunately my game had crashed as I was building this, so I had to pretty much re-record the entire kitchen area. So I pretty much knew what I wanted to do and the design that I had in my mind, and I really love this plain white kitchen design. I just really love the overall look and feel of it. And for the main flooring that we have for this entire home, especially for the main interior, like open areas, so I actually ended up going for a flooring that came from the base game, which is this bright birch looking wooden plank. And I actually really love this flooring in particular when it comes to these modern family homes, especially since I go for that big open floor plan design. I actually really don't like having a flooring that is super repetitive, and I feel like this flooring in particular doesn't really have details that are super prominent, especially like with the outlines of the plank itself. So it's very versatile in like being able to easily use it in these open floor plan areas without it looking very boring or like very simplistic, especially since you can't really see the designs that clearly. And I feel like it's like a great option to use when it comes to these open floor plan designed homes. And I really love the contrast it gave to the rest of the furniture pieces that I have placed throughout this entire build. And I just really love how open and airy this entire kitchen looks overall. And it's actually become one of my favorite plants that I've been using pretty much on all of my island counters. It just feels very vibrant and realistic. That is pretty much one of the main things that I love about like my more modern homes currently. I just go for the objects that feel a bit more lively and vibrant, but also carry that minimalistic element to them. I just really love that really open airy design, and that was kind of like what I was trying to go for this build, and I feel like I was able to effectively capture that. But yeah, so moving on into incorporating the dining table within this build, I actually ended up going for a different dining table, which I believe came from the Eco Lifestyle expansion pack. And I actually really love how this one turned out, because I just really love the small little details that we have on this wooden dining table. It just feels a bit more like as if it was crafted by hand, and just makes it feel a little bit more DIY, if that makes sense. And I also really love how it's just like centered right in the middle of where we have those huge sliding glass doors that face straight out into the garden area. It just makes it feel super luxurious, especially if it was in real life. And I really loved how it's just like super connected to the living space as well as the kitchen area as well. It's just like pretty much centered between both of those living spaces, and I just love the overall look that it kind of gave to this build. And of course, just following the same color palette that we had from the kitchen over onto the living space and the dining table area. The living space currently right now looks quite generic, especially since we're utilizing the Dream Home Decorator modular pieces. However, we do actually end up changing this because I just felt like it looked a little bit too simplistic. It kind of just reminded me of like an IKEA furniture like stage piece, and I wasn't really liking the feel of that, so I ended up changing that to just like looking a bit more unique, and of course also incorporating some nice little color here and there throughout this entire living space as well. But yeah, so for the dining table chairs themselves, I did actually also end up going for the Dream Home Decorator ones as well, because I just felt like they look the most modern and minimalistic throughout this entire game currently. currently, and I just feel like it worked with the color scheme that we're obviously going for. And I just placed a nice simple rug right beneath it, just like trying to just like contrast it with the flooring that we currently have. Although they are kind of all within the same color tones, I feel like just the differentiation between them definitely does make all of the furniture pieces stand out a little bit more, rather than having it completely flat on the wooden flooring itself. I just feel like adding a rug beneath it definitely makes it feel a little bit more complete. And of course, adding a unique pendant lighting right above the dining table area itself, just like trying to make it feel and like give it a bit of character, rather than just like making it feel very generic and just like keeping the spotlights here and there. Because although the spotlights themselves definitely do emit a lot of light and it can make gameplay a lot more easy, especially since they're a smaller object, I still feel like adding these pendant lights definitely give the house overall and the little spaces a little bit more character. And I tried to save this little living space by like adding additional coffee tables next to it, but I just feel like it wasn't really working out. I didn't really like the overutilization of these Drew Home Decorator modular pieces, so I ended up removing and changing some of them. I really love the plants and the small details here and there, but I just felt like it was a bit too much for my liking, so I ended up changing it to this wooden table, which I believe ends up changing as well if I remember correctly. But I just felt like it felt a little bit too generic in my opinion, and I was trying to make this L-shaped couch work because I really wanted to have an L-shaped design here, but it just wasn't working to my liking, so I ended up changing it into the Book Nook Kit 2-seaters. And the main reason for that was because the 2-seater definitely had a lot more detail going on with it. It came in this darker color swatch for the beanbag seater area itself, which definitely made this living space stand out a lot more. And I still had that L-shaped design in my mind, so I still wanted to merge both of the sofas together to sort of like get that L-shaped design. And I feel like it actually turned out very nicely overall. And I added these two little armchairs on the other side of where we have the sofas, but I feel like it felt a little bit too claustrophobic. But then I ended up removing both of them and just adding a nice simple poof there, because I feel like it made a lot more sense in terms of like walkability around the entire living space itself. And I feel like it made the space feel a little bit more open but also cozy as well, and that was kind of like the main goal that I was trying to go for. And I feel like I've been pretty much using that poof throughout all of my builds, because I just feel like it's one of my favorite objects to use. It's just very versatile and can be used in a lot of different ways. I pretty much use it to hold like a fake towel within the bathroom, but also like as small little seating areas here and there. It's just like such a good versatile object that I pretty much use in all of my builds, and I'm super happy with the outcome of this actual living space overall. Although I did keep to a more minimalistic design, I feel like I was able to capture a very cozy living space across to you guys. But yeah, so we're actually moving off into the formal sort of office space that we have for this build, which is kind of situated next to the entrance of the home, and we are actually focusing on creating it in a smaller little room. And I'm actually really happy with the size that we have for this office space, mainly because I feel like there's not really a lot of objects that you can really add within an office, unless you guys want to like go ahead and like add some other specific stuff that you want to incorporate within it. But I pretty much incorporated all the generic objects that you'd probably expect, such as a very nice formal looking desk and a nice simple seating area, along with adding a fireplace and a TV unit area. And we do also add some small little storage along with some paintings and a bookshelf as well. But I just feel like the space itself just felt super suitable enough for a small little office space like this, especially since I feel like it's not really a space that would be used 24/7 like a kitchen, but rather something that can just like be easily accessible. And I didn't want to waste a lot of the space in just like creating a very unnecessarily huge office space, and I really love the overall outcome of it. And I also ended up changing all of the wallpaper to be this paneling, because I feel like it feels a little bit more formal, a little bit more serious, and a bit more appropriate for an office space like this. But yeah, I just feel like it just adds a bit more character to each of the individual rooms that we have going across this entire build. And I feel like if this was in real life, it would probably be quite annoying to have a glass window just like staring down at your screen, because I feel like the sun glare might be a bit annoying. But especially since it's not really that big of an issue for The Sims, I really didn't mind keeping it this way. However, we do actually end up adding some small little features here and there that cover the windows and stuff like that, such as some nice simple curtains, which came from the Desert Luxe kit. So I do actually end up adding some curtains here and there throughout this entire build, just because I feel like it adds a bit more character to the rooms. And of course, added some small little sconces here and there as well, just like tried to make it feel as cozy as possible. And I really love the grown together sconces. I just feel like they're very versatile as well. They kind of don't really look that modern, but also don't really look that traditional either. So it kind of makes sense to just like use it in any way that you want to. It's kind of like a timeless piece, to be honest. And we're actually moving on into the laundry room. So we have a very tiny space right off to the side where we have the office. And instead of just like using this space into becoming something else, I feel like since it's a family home, what more makes sense than having a nice small little laundry space? And I feel like it kind of makes sense for this little room, especially since if you guys don't have the laundry kit and stuff like that, so you guys don't really miss out on anything, to be honest. It would just like be a completely small empty room that you guys can definitely turn into a nice small little games room or a library or a small paintings room, just like something that could be very functional and useful for a family. But I feel like for a family home in general, I feel like if you guys were to play it on like a realistic storyline, it will kind of make sense to just like incorporate a nice little laundry room within this build. And I feel like it turned out very nice and simple overall. Actually, moving on into one of the beds that we have on the first floor. So I believe in total we have about 4 bedrooms on the first floor and 4 bedrooms on the second floor. So we have pretty much a total of 8 bedrooms, which I feel like is quite a lot for not really like a small but a sizable home like this. I feel like we were able to like fit quite a lot of stuff within a skinny home like this, and I'm really happy with how it turned out, especially since I was trying to go for that more cozy factor. It just felt a bit more compact but also very easy to navigate and play within. And for this bedroom in particular, I just went with like some of my favorite object pieces, just like trying to make it feel as luxurious as possible. I also really love the incorporation of that accent wall piece that we have for these like wooden panelings that go across horizontally on the bedside frame. I just really love the overall look of it. And of course, just like place one of my favorite bedside tables, which came from the Life and Death expansion pack, because I feel like these ones feel the most suitable and versatile for a modern home. They just feel the most realistic, to be honest, out of all the ones that we currently have, especially since some of them really do feel very oversized. And of course, I ended up adding some nice little seating areas as well as a dresser along with like a TV unit area, just like to add a bunch of different functional objects within the bedrooms themselves as well. And of course, just like played around with adding some small additional accent walls here and there as well, which I feel like kind of made the room feel a little bit more fun and interesting. And now we're actually moving on into the opposite side of the home, which is the left side of the home, which is pretty much where we have the garage area as well as the at-home movie theater. And I actually really love how this movie theater turned out. So if you guys have been a member of the channel, or if you guys have seen my previous Sims 4 builds, you would have seen that like I actually do really enjoy creating a lot of these movie theaters within these modern family homes, especially since we have quite a lot of like space to work with. I feel like it kind of just like makes sense to just like house and incorporate some other functional furniture pieces within the build. I didn't want to like eliminate and just like use every single thing that you would probably expect within the entire game within all of my builds, because I still want you guys to like play around and like navigate worlds and stuff like that, or like use different lots for like other functions and stuff like that. So I tried to keep adding 100% of every single functional object within my space to a minimal. However, I just really enjoy incorporating at-home movie theater. I just feel like it feels super luxurious, and I just really love going for like this completely all blackout design for my movie theaters. It just makes it feel super luxurious, and despite having a lot of windows throughout this entire room in particular, I was still able to just like completely cover them with a bunch of different curtains and stuff like that. And I feel like it turned out super nicely overall, especially with the addition of these nice massage chairs which came from Spa Day. I just really love the incorporation of these nice little luxurious furniture pieces. If you guys do plan on turning them into 2-seater couches and stuff like that, I feel like it kind of would make a little bit more sense, especially since you can't access the TV while also using the massage chair. I believe there are workarounds, but I feel like it is kind of a shame that you can't do that like easily, if that makes sense. And I did also want to incorporate some functional pieces within the movie theater room as well, such as a ice cream machine as well as a popcorn machine, just like to add some nice unique variations to this build. But yeah, so we're actually moving on upstairs now, and we're focusing on one of the bedrooms that we have on the second floor. And I really love how this bedroom turned out, and I'm just like super excited to show this one to you guys in particular, because I just really love the design and overall like color scheme that I came up with it. I just feel like it looked very nice and unique. And if you guys are curious of like all of the objects and like the packs and stuff like that that I use, I highly recommend you guys to check it out on the gallery, because it pretty much shows you what objects and stuff that I used throughout the entire build. But 90% of the objects are actually from the Dream Home Decorator game packs. And the main reason why I ended up using a lot of the objects from that pack is because I feel like it is quite an old one, and I feel like a lot of people definitely do have it, especially since it's very versatile and suitable for like incorporating a lot of different furniture pieces. I feel like it's definitely a necessary pack for every single person who pretty much plays this game. And the main color scheme that we have for this bedroom in particular is sort of this white and beige color scheme, which is pretty much much what you guys have seen throughout most of the build. However, most of the rooms throughout this entire house definitely do have like their own color schemes and stuff like that. I pretty much just like wanted to show you guys some of the ones that I felt looked the best and the most interesting in my opinion. But if you guys are interested in seeing the rest of the rooms that I haven't shown within the speed build, I highly recommend you guys stick around towards the end of the video so that you guys can check out the tour, which will pretty much navigate you throughout the entire home, and you guys can pretty much see all of the entire home without seeing it within like a speed build form. And I did also end up going for the Dream Home Decorator modular pieces for the dresser itself as well. I just feel like it just like ends up using a lot of the wall space as well, and it is very helpful with like trying to make it feel as busy and like luxurious as possible, because I feel like a built-in wall unit section for your dresser definitely does feel very luxurious. And I just added some small little details here and there, such as a nice simple painting, these small little bedside lamps as well, along with like this poof once again because it's one of my favorite objects, and of course just like adding the curtains on either side of the window as well, just like trying to add to that small little realism. But yeah, so we're actually moving on into the nursery room, and I feel like we have quite a weird shape and design for the nursery room, and I actually really love the end result of this room because I just feel like every single one of my nurseries pretty much all have like their own unique shape and design, and I really love how the outcome of them always turn out. So for this nursery in particular, I feel like it's so big to the point where you guys can definitely add 2 individual cribs, or pretty much like separate it and add a toddler's bed or anything like that. But I really love this design in particular because of the specific furniture pieces that I had selected for this room in particular. So for example, we have these very nice simple corner bookshelf units that I placed on either side of the crib, and I really love that design because I feel like it just makes the room feel a little less bare in my opinion, especially since we do add some clutter pieces on top of it as well. It just makes it feel lively, which is kind of like what a kid's room should really resemble. And I did also end up going for the grown together changing table because I feel like that one feels the most modern and luxurious overall, and I'd say this in pretty much all of my builds, but I just really love the Storybook Nursery Kit crib. I pretty much tend to use that one, but then also use the grown together changing table because I feel like they work very nicely adjacent together, especially since they kind of give that modern vibe. But I feel like the rest of the objects that came from the Storybook Nursery Kit definitely feel a little bit more gothic for my liking and don't really resemble that modern family home that I'm trying to go for. And for the walk-in wardrobe area for the kids section, instead of just like placing a very generic dresser, I instead decided to place this nice simple dresser which came from the Dream Home Decorator game pack, which you're able to like easily assign clothes on top of it. And I feel like it was like a cool way of displaying the kids' clothes, which once again did come from the Storybook Nursery Kit in case you guys are wondering where it's from. And I also really love placing this nice little rocking chair off to the side as well. And just by like adding these small little details, just make this nursery feel a little bit more unique and realistic. And of course, I won't forget to change the entire wallpaper for the nursery itself as well, because I feel like that definitely does make this room itself just like come alive a little bit more. And the addition of the lighting fixtures as well also make a very big difference within these nurseries themselves as well. But yeah, so now we're actually moving on into the primary bedroom suite, and I actually ended up going for one of my favorite designs for the bedroom itself, which is where I place these Dream Home Decorator wall cabinet pieces, the thinnest version, right behind where we have the bed itself, and that sort of acts as a bedside table. And I really love that design because it makes it just feel super luxurious and modern, because it's not like a generic design that you would probably expect within a typical home, especially since like a lot of homes don't really have a lot of space to even house a design like that. I just really love the overall look and feel of that, and I did end up going for the businesses and hobbies bed itself. I just feel like it feels super modern and luxurious, and it just fits that nice color scheme that I was trying to go for within this room in particular, which sort of houses some nice simple darker colors. So you would see a few little shades of brown as well as like nice simple black swatches here and there as well. And I just really love the overall design that this bedroom gave, especially with that huge floor to ceiling glass windows that we have that extend towards the roof as well. And I did end up using the island living glass floorings on the ceiling, which kind of give it like a very unique effect for this bedroom in particular. It just feels super cool and interesting for a luxurious build like this. And of course, place one of my favorite pendant lights on one side of the bedside tables as well, which I feel like looks super luxurious, especially right next to where we have those huge glass windows. It just makes it feel very luxurious overall, and I just tried to to place a curtain there as well, because I feel like it would be very unrealistic to be like keeping a very huge glass window like without having any privacy or anything like that. Although I don't really use a lot of curtains in my other builds, I feel like it kind of makes sense for this very huge glass window, which is pretty much the entire wall. And I just really love the lighting within this bedroom itself as well. It just feels super realistic and lively overall. And we do also have a very spacious walk-in wardrobe connected to this primary bedroom suite as well. And I kind of just went with like a basic bracket design, nothing too special, and I ended up going with the Dream Home Decorator walk-in wardrobe modular pieces. And I really love the overall design that I ended up going for. Just I ended up changing the colors, sort of like created a his and her sort of separation, and right in the center I just added a simple lit up mirror which came from the Businesses and Hobbies expansion pack, in case you guys are wondering. And the main reason why I ended up placing the primary bedroom suite right off to the side of this home is not because of those huge glass windows, but mainly because since we had a lot of this smaller space, as you guys can currently see right now within the ensuite, we don't really have a lot of these floor to ceiling glass windows because of the gabled roofs that are kind of bleeding into the rest of the bedrooms. I feel like it kind of made sense to just like turn these into smaller, little less functional rooms, especially since you don't really have a lot of window space. I feel like it kind of made sense to just like turn this huge little space into an ensuite as well as a walk-in wardrobe area. And especially since it's right next to the nursery itself, it kind of made sense to just like house it all together. And I ended up going for a very luxurious design for this bathroom. So we do also have an his and hers sort of vanity sink unit area, along with the individual shower unit heads as well, which I feel like just feel and look very luxurious, especially since they have the option to shower but also the bath option as well. That luxury definitely does come with these more luxurious primary en-suites, which definitely are the perks of being within the primary bedroom suites of a very luxurious mansion like this. And I just really love the overall look and design of it. It just feels very luxurious. And I also ended up adding the Snowy Escape toilet as well. I just feel like that feels the most luxurious throughout this entire game overall as well. I also ended up adding these small little shelving units off to the corner of this bathroom as well. Just like try to add some bathroom related clutter, such as the towels along with like a nice little greenery, just like trying to make it feel as lively and realistic as possible. But yeah, so now we're actually going back down onto the first floor and into the garden area where we have the standalone room. And this gym area pretty much houses all of the necessary objects that you would probably expect within an at-home gym, especially since we don't really have a lot of objects to place within our gyms currently. I pretty much used all of the functional objects along with the other sort of decorational ones that came from the Lovestock expansion pack, such as the dumbbell set. And I just really loved that small little realism that it adds to this game. However, I'm super excited with the upcoming pack to be able to add some more realistic functional gym equipment, such as the bicycle as well as the dumbbells themselves. I feel like it definitely would give some versatility to the gyms that we create within the game. And I just really love how it just like follows the overall color scheme that we have for the rest of the build, just trying to keep to that minimalism while also trying to incorporate all of the necessary objects that you would want to have within an at-home gym. But yeah, so that seems to be pretty much it for this entire speed build. So thank you so much for watching, especially if you guys have reached towards the end of the video. I really do appreciate you guys a lot. And let me know what you guys think about leaving a like and subscribing, and comment down below your thoughts and suggestions about this build. I'd love to know what you guys think about this build in the comment sections below. And I do also have a bunch of videos like this on the channel if you guys are interested in builds like these. But thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.